Has become the hilarious soundtrack to the playoffs. Fans counting as Giannis goes through his lengthy free throw routine. We're counting down till tip-off. 2 hours and 10 minutes is where it stands. But remember that the chanting, it started in Brooklyn, it went through Atlanta, it's now landed in Phoenix, and is top of mind whenever Giannis addresses the media.
I feel like in the first free throw I shoot, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, here we go again. But like by the fifth or sixth, 10th, when we go down the line, it kind of fades off, But at the end of the day, like you gotta embrace it. You cannot fight it. You gotta embrace it, and it's part of me now. Yeah, I just embrace it and just go with it. I don't feel pressure now.
Michael Wilbon is joining us now from Phoenix. We're going to see him on the top of the hour at SportsCenter with Stephen A. here on ESPN. Before we get to business, real fast, it sounds really loud on the TV. So what's it like hearing the crowds counting in person, Mike?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me about the guy rehearsing the anthem, who sounds like Sam Cooke.
I
could just listen to him for 2 hours until Sam Cooke. I'm telling you,
okay.
That's a little too old for you, though.
No,
that
he's one of my favorites. Are you joking?
Okay, good. You need to be here then.
Me?
I'm telling you, this anthem is an all-time great. You got to find out a way to get a clip or something.
I shall.
If we don't show it. So the count, it's comical.
Yeah.
I mean, I just start laughing when I hear it because you can't take it seriously. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, it's comical. People are into it. It's spirited no matter where it is. And I had forgotten, here at the Western Conference Arena, we hadn't gotten into that. Yeah, they played the Bucks twice this year, but nobody's counting back then.
Right.
But it is so funny that you can hear it now. You're getting a little sample of it. It's funny, and I don't know if Giannis really pays. He says he doesn't pay attention. I wonder how he can ignore it totally.
Right. It's funny too because when in Atlanta, he said at some point it started to seem like almost like a rhythm. Atlanta though was counting really fast, much faster than the Suns. They gave him no benefit of the doubt. Let's get to brass tacks now. We know that the Bucks have obviously been quite vocal about the free throw disparity in Game 1 and getting to the line more. But what else must the Bucks do to steal one tonight?
Well, they might want to call some defensive strategies that don't employ putting 7-footers on Chris Paul. I mean, instead of complaining about 10 more free throws, I don't get annoyed over the years at coaches doing this. Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, the greatest coaches have done it. But I don't want to hear Bud with this talk about his plus 10 in free throws. Half the time they jack up threes. They're nowhere near in position to get fouled. And why don't you employ some defensive strategies that put Drew Holiday more often on Chris Paul? Why don't you start there instead of this excuse making? Did the referees assign Brook Lopez to Chris Paul? I don't think so.
We heard Legler say that as well because we have seen, Mike, the Bucks have an issue in that very first game of these series with the guard play and their switches and whether they're going to drop the defender or not. To their credit, they have sort of figured it out down the stretch. At least they did with Atlanta. Trae Young getting hurt did not hurt. Michael Wilbon, we do know because there's so many unknown quantities that it's going to happen in this game. One thing will undoubtedly happen, and that will be the crowd counting Giannis. And it got us thinking about famous sports moments that have happened in less time than Giannis's free throw attempt, like LeBron James' block of Andre Iguodala in the 2016 NBA Finals. That took less than 10 seconds because, by my estimation, I think Giannis is averaging around 12 or 13. Which, by the way, is illegal. Kyrie Irving's game winner to complete the infamous 3-1 game back, of course, happened then. Then we've got Hale Flutie. That also took less than 10 seconds. And it, of course, cemented the Boston College quarterback as a legend. Flutie's last-second 64-yard heave. The end zone was caught for a touchdown. Of course, the upset win earned him the Heisman, and it took 9 seconds for Reggie Miller to score 8 points. This is so great. One of the greatest comebacks of all time as the Pacers turned a 6-point deficit in the waning moments of Game 1 of the 95 Eastern Conference semifinal at the world's most famous arena. And Indiana, of course, would win that series in 7. All these things happened in less time than it takes Giannis to shoot a free throw. Chris Middleton didn't shoot any free throws in Game 1. No doubt that needs to change if the Bucks are going to even up the series tonight. Taking a look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's interesting because I think for many people, at least my first introduction to Giannis was when he was was a rookie and he was at rookie camp, and coincidentally they were trying to get new players to either spell his name or say his name correctly, and honestly they could not do either. And I'm pretty sure they probably still could not spell his name, but certainly everybody knows Giannis's name. He had 20 points and 17 rebounds in game 1 after missing the last 2 games of the Eastern Conference Finals with that hyperextended knee. He said he thought he was going to be done for at least a year, so it's really miraculous that he's playing at all. His 14th double-double of the 2021 playoffs. Stephen A is watching him warm up. In fact, we're going to get it over to SportsCenter with Stephen A. Right now, top of the hour. Remember, tip 8:30 NBA Countdown on ABC. See you tomorrow night.
Tonight on this can't-miss edition of SportsCenter with yours truly, counting down to Game 2 of the NBA Finals, we'll assess how Chris Paul can take over again tonight and lift the Suns to a 2-0 series lead, plus setting the bar for Giannis and the Bucks to bounce back what the 2-time MVP must do tonight, steal home court advantage, and along with sparking this Suns championship run, how Devin Booker's impact on the city of Phoenix goes beyond basketball.
We want to get done what we got to get done. We're all going to have to sacrifice something, and I think every great team has to do that.
Phoenix, Arizona. NBA Finals Game 2 tonight on ABC. The Suns' stellar backcourt put on a show to take Game 1. So how will the Bucks respond, and can they avoid going down 0-2? And there he is, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. He had 20 points and 17 rebounds in Game 1 after missing the previous 2 games with a hyperextended knee. 32 points, 9 assists, or 12 of 19 shooting. That is the performance the one and only Chris Paul, CP3, put on display in Game 1. Obviously, if he continues to do that as this series progresses, it might not be a long series at all, and the Phoenix Suns will be crowned champions. The Milwaukee Bucks are clearly hell-bent on doing something about that. Didn't appear to be the case in Game 1 when they put the likes of Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, and P.J. Tucker on CP3, but chances are they're not going to do that in Game 2. You got an all-defensive NBA player in Drew Holiday on the scene who's known for locking down opposing offensive players. Wonder what he'll do in Game 2 tonight. We'll find out. We most certainly need to. For more on the Bucks, Suns, Game 2, here's our reporters on the scene, starting with Dave McMenamin.
Thanks, Stephen A. So I asked Chris Paul yesterday what separates this playoff run with the Suns from the dozen he had in his career before, besides the obvious of actually making it to the finals. And Paul told me, quote, "Our team is built a little different. We have a real team, like a team where you can't just key in on 1 or 2 guys. And then there's his development. He used to wear a bulky knee brace with the Hornets, but has worked on his body and diet since, fueling his continued devotion for the game at age 36, none other than Kobe Bryant. Paul said Kobe said years ago, you just got to fall in love with it, the repetition of it. And Paul certainly has. And now for a report of the Milwaukee Bucks, let's hear from Malika Andrews.
Dave, Giannis Antetokounmpo said he felt good the morning after playing 35 minutes in Game 1. And he said that now that he knows exactly what his body's able to do, he's going to be able to test it out, be a little bit more aggressive, he hopes, in this Game 2. And also they want to look to make a couple of adjustments as a team. On the defensive side of the ball, that means being a little bit better in transition, keeping players out in front of him, out in front of them, he said. And then on the offensive side of the ball, he wants to, instead of sometimes he thought they made the extra pass when the best shot was actually right in front of them. So those are a couple of things they're looking to tweak in order to even up this series in Game 2, Stephen A.
Thank you, Malika. Chris Paul and Devin Booker combined for 59 points, the third most by a starting backcourt in a finals game over the last 25 years, behind a pair of games by the Splash Brothers in 2016. We now welcome in the champion, that is Kendrick Perkins, and the Hall of Famer, that is Michael Wilbon. Michael Wilbon, I'll start with you. Put into perspective how great CP3 was in Game 1.
Historically great. I mean, first game in the NBA Finals in his career, something he's been waiting for and pointing to, and to run the team that way, and then have the third quarter that he did, Stephen. It was 16 points. I mean, it was a phenomenal performance. And now, as we spin it forward, the whole thing becomes, well, what is Milwaukee going to do about it? I don't want to hear about the foul shooting. I don't want to hear a word about that. Did the referees put Brooke Lopez on Chris Paul and put Bobby Portis on Chris Paul and put PJ Tucker. Just stop. I don't want to hear about
Well, you know what that was about, right?
Plus 10 free throws.
Budenholzer clearly spoke to Phil Jackson. That's what he did. He was complaining about the officials.
I don't want to hear about Phil Jackson and Pat Riley if we're talking about Budenholzer. Look, Milwaukee can win this game. They can even up this series. We know Giannis can have a 35-point, 15-rebound game. We know that they're not going to stop Chris Paul. They can do a little bit better in controlling him. Right. But they better be a lot smarter about their choices than they were in Game 1.
Totally agree. Big Perk, your thoughts about the performance of CP3 in Game 1, sir?
Well, I know both of y'all, Stephen A. and Mike Wilburn, heard the saying, great offense beat good defense any day. And that's what Chris Paul had. He had a great offensive night. A lot of those shots were tough, contested twos and three-pointers. Now, with that being said, I thought that Drew Holiday did a lazy job of staying in front of Chris Paul and getting up over screens. He took the easy way out. He's an all-defensive player. He's a guy that's one of the most He's one of the guys that's one of the best perimeter defensive players in the league, okay? You got to take ownership. You got to take ownership. And Budenholzer, you got to call him out. You got to challenge him. You got to tell him, don't get screened. Get small. Get up over the screen. Get the ball squared. Get the bigs back to the paint. I expect Drew Holiday to be hugging CP3 like a cheap suit tonight.
Well, Brett, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you in terms of what do the Bucks need to do to make it harder. But I think that I'd be remiss in neglecting to mention the fact that Brooke Lopez was on him at one point, PJ Tucker was on him at one point, Bobby Portis was on him at one point, where Chris Paul was just dancing on him and making him look silly, and we love Bobby Portis. What can the Milwaukee Bucks, or what do the Milwaukee Bucks need to do specifically, Perk, in order to defend CP3 better?
Well, here it is, Stephen A. You got to go back and look at Mike Wilborn. You look at the series against the Atlanta Hawks, right? Early in the series, the Milwaukee Bucks were in the drop coverage. Trae Young and Lou Will was having it their way. Then they adjusted and they started switching, and Brooke Lopez did an excellent job of sliding his feet against their guards. Well, now you can't switch pick and rolls, one, because DeAndre Ayton is going to have it his way against those smaller guards in the paint. Two, you're going to leave CP3, you're going to leave Brooke Lopez and Bobby Portis on the island, right, against CP3 and Devin Booker. And the Phoenix Suns do a great job of player movement so that your help defense is not allowed to load up. So with that being said, you have to go back into your drop coverage. You have to challenge Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton to get up over screens, square the ball up, and you got to have your bigs talk loud and continuously. The screen is coming. Force them left and have them in the drop.
Let me stop you right there because I got to get Wilbon in to react to what you just had to say. What do you think about that?
I love this. I just want to ask Perk. Perk is describing 80s and 90s defense, and all coaches want to do now through analytics is switch, 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 switch. Perk, do you think they'll even be that disciplined and that determined to do exactly what you're saying? We see so little of that now, right? Your teams did that. God knows the teams in Boston did that. But how often do teams do exactly what you're prescribing?
Quick answer here, Perk. Go ahead.
Whereas right now, we're looking at those Phoenix Suns. We saw CP3 and Devin Booker getting up over screens. We saw Jay Crowder and Mikal Bridges getting up over screens. It has to do with your leader in the locker room challenging your players, and that's the coach, the head of the snake. Monty Williams hold these guys accountable. Budenholzer has to do the same.
Somehow, Mike Wilbon, I don't think we could ever accuse Kendrick Perkins of having a problem holding people accountable.
No,
it's
we
just
wouldn't. I
just want to throw that out there. We got more to get into right here with SportsCenter with George Truly coming up. After returning in time for Game 1 of the NBA Finals, we'll assess how Giannis' knee injury impacted Tuesday's opener and what the two-time MVP must do to bounce back tonight. There's Chris Middleton right there. He has 3 straight 25-point games, tied for the longest streak in his career, including the regular season.
I haven't watched the clip, but when the play happened, I thought I'm going to be out for a year, So I'm just happy that two games later, I'm back.
Crowder to Bridges up inside, blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a recovery!
He's put his head down and made plays. He put pressure on the Suns defense.
Antetokounmpo gets in.
How many hours were you spending a day trying to get that knee ready?
24.
If you're Milwaukee,
You've got to be so encouraged by what he was able to do 1 week after that hyperextended knee injury.
The Bucks actually outscored the Suns by a point in the 35 minutes Giannis played in Game 1. They were outscored by 14 when he was off and didn't attempt a single free throw. Yesterday, Giannis gave us a status update on his injured knee.
I felt good. I was out there, so felt good. Tried to, help my team in any way possible. But going to Game 2, can't predict the future. But my body feels good.
Back with Wilbon and Perk. Wilbon, you and I discussed this at the beginning before Game 1. And we talked about how if it were up to us, neither of us would have played Giannis in Games 1 or 2. I know he was back on the court. I know he looked relatively decent, even though he didn't still look like himself. Do you think it was a mistake for the Milwaukee Bucks to play him in Game 1?
No, I've done a 180.
Okay.
With some assistance from former players, greats, Avery Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. And I know Perk was in this position. Those guys, I sat with them and watched that game, and they talked about how badly they wanted to play in an NBA Finals for the first time.
Right.
And when you listen to former players talk about this, Stephen A., the caution that we as outsiders thought was better advised.
They throw it to the wind.
They throw it to the wind. And they talk about the sheer will of wanting to play. And you look at Giannis, if we had been told that he was going to have a 20-whatever and 17 rebound game, we wouldn't have taken that position before Game 1.
Perk, what about you, real quick? Do you think it was a mistake to play Giannis in Game 1?
No, I agree with Wilbon, Stephen A. Look, we all worry about winning championships, but we take making it to the finals for granted. Giannis, look, when you get to the finals, you don't know if you're going to ever make it back to the promised land. So if you have an opportunity and you could go out there and embrace that opportunity for a whole entire series, then you take advantage of it. Remember, I was a guy that tore my ACL in the finals. And in my mind, I was wondering, am I ever going to get this opportunity again?
Let's go back to you, Wilbon. What are your expectations for Giannis tonight?
A great game. If he physically can do it, if he looks like he did in Game 1, and he's probably going to be better, it stands to reason, and he gave us that indication yesterday. Great game. I mean, a 35-point, 12 to 15 rebound game where he is not goofing around from three, all right, but is within 12 feet of the basket, offensively and defensively, potentially dominating the game. I expect a great game from Giannis.
Well, you
tonight.
say goofing around with the three-point shot. I say looking horrible shooting the three-point shot. How about shooting 10 feet and then how about that? What about you, Perk? What are you expecting? What are you expecting from Giannis tonight in Game 2, Perk? What are your expectations for him?
I'm expecting Giannis to be the best player on the floor tonight. I'm expecting Giannis to be the two-time MVP that we've been witnessing over the last couple of years. Here's why. When he came back in Game 1, you have to realize when the guy's out and you watch your team while you're injured have success without you, you try to come in and try to fit in, right? Giannis took 11 field goal attempts. That's not happening tonight. The Bucks don't need Giannis to try to fit in. The Bucks need Giannis to be Giannis, and let's go out there and dominate. I'm expecting them to have 20-plus shot attempts tonight. I expect him to come out and be the Greek freak and be aggressive. He's going to be the best player on the floor tonight.
I agree with both of y'all. I agree with you about the 180. I agree with you about how we both expect Giannis to look in Game 2. All three of us expect Giannis to look in Game 2 tonight. But I'll also say this. It's not just about him looking good. He needs to make sure other dudes look good as well, like Drew Holiday. It can't be he only shows up when Giannis does it. But when Giannis is there, he forgets how to play. That's just me.
No 4 for 14. Not tonight.
It's still more to come with SportsCenter with yours truly right here with your boy Stephen A. Let's get right to it.
Here they come.
Yes, sir. This is the final, boy.
This or that. This or that. This.
Yeah. Who's the black sheep? What's the black sheep? Don't know who I am or when I'm coming so you sleep. Wasn't in my realm, I wasn't in your sphere. Who know who I was, but listen here.
Did you see that possession down there? That was tough.
You can get with this or you can get with
Floats it for 8 and jams it home. Booker, shake and bake, jumper, it's good.
That's one down. We ain't done.
The NBA announced Suns guard Devin Booker as this year's season-long NBA Cares Community Assist Award winner for his amazing community outreach in the greater Phoenix area. Here was Booker on receiving this honor.
I don't do it for the recognition, but I'm glad that, you know, the foundation is getting this type of light and this type of exposure because it means a lot. It means a lot to this community. It means a lot to my family. It means a lot to my brother being on the board at Phoenix Suns Charities. It's what we get the most excited about. So, you know, for us to win that award, you know, I wouldn't say for me to win it, for Phoenix Suns Charities, for the whole foundation to win that award is really important to us.
We now welcome an ESPN senior NBA writer, Mark Spears. You just saw Devin Booker receive this award, well-deserved. Talk about what the city of Phoenix means to this guy.
Well, he called it his third home. He's from Grand Rapids. He went to high school near his dad in Moss Point, Mississippi. Phoenix has been his third home. And it wasn't that long ago where people were saying, man, Devin needs to get out of here. Even Draymond Green said he needed to get out. But his dad told him to be patient, wait. NBA careers for stars are a long time. It'll come around. Devin Booker never asked for a trade. And now look where he is. Probably a lot earlier than he expected in the NBA Finals.
I can't front on national television. I'm an honest man. It's a beautiful story with Devin Booker. It touches me. But it doesn't touch my heart the way this next topic touches me.
Okay.
The one and only CP3, Chris Paul. We know he's pursuing a championship, but he's also pursuing a degree.
Where?
At my alma mater.
Which one?
Winston-Salem State University.
Represent.
And HBCU. Ram Nation in the house. Represent, no question. What about this? What can you tell us about this with CP3 and Winston-Salem State University?
Well, I'm sure you knew this because you're a Ram.
That's right.
But in the bubble last spring, he started taking online classes, not at Wake Forest where he played, but at your alma mater. So he's been taking a class every semester. He's going to get a degree in communications. He's even taking a Spanish class on the side. And guess what? After the bubble, he went on campus because he wanted his Ram student ID card and went and took the picture because he was excited.
See, these are special things right here. And you know what? I don't know. It's a couple of people that's very, very successful from Winston-Salem State University. I mean, you never know what they, you never know how
you got your degree there?
Of course I do. Of course I have a bachelor's in mass communications. Thank you very much. Let's move on because there were supposed to be 3 openings, but it appears that it's now 2 because the insider himself, Adrian Wojnarowski, reports that Orlando is probably going to hire Jamal Mosley. As you know, assistant coach Jamal Mosley. That leaves 2 openings.
Yes.
New Orleans and Washington. What can you tell us about what's going on there?
Well, that next coach for New Orleans or Washington could come from over here, the NBA Finals.
Okay.
In New Orleans, Willie Green, an assistant coach with the Suns, he's up for the job. Charles Lee with the Bucks, he's an assistant coach. He's up for the job.
Wow.
The earliest the Pelicans are going to start talking to ownership and with their candidates is late next week, so that won't happen to probably after the finals. Then you got in Washington, where you got 2 Bucks assistants going against each other for the job. Charles Lee and your boy Darvin Ham.
That's right.
There's a long list of guys. Tommy Shepard is looking at there. It's going to take a while, but there could be a coach from there.
Sam Cassell, is that name going to come up? I mean,
it could be on there in Washington.
It needs to be.
Wes Unseld Jr.'s name is on there.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one as well. Sam Cassell's name needs to be in that mix. I'm just saying. Appreciate you. One and only Mark Spears right here with yours truly, live right here on SportsCenter.
The Ram.
All right, the Ram. We could go with that. As the countdown continues to Game 2 of the NBA Finals, hear the story behind Drew Holiday's historic journey to the NBA alongside his brothers, Justin and Aaron. Plus, after this man right here, oh Lord,
classic.
I gotta admit, Mike Wilbon,
classic.
I was thinking about rocking white, but I said I'm on TV, and it might not look right. And
looks
then
right
this
on
brother
him.
walks in, and I don't agree with the sneakers.
I love that. Come on.
Come on,
Stephen A.
On my show, Stephen A's World, I got this segment called Concrete Runway. I would have a problem with those sneakers.
Classic Chucks, man.
No, you gotta rock some fresh white sneakers with that outfit. What about you, Perp? How you feel about that?
Hey, listen, the suit is clean, but look, I know he's pulling up to a basketball game and not a baptism, okay? He's not going to get baptized, all right? He's pulling up to a basketball game.
Perky.
I got you. On to the next one. Drew Holiday right here hoping to get his team a Game 2 Finals win tonight. Drew, along with his brothers Justin and Aaron, all in the NBA, come from a family who loves the game of basketball. The one and only Ramona Shelburne has